have to have the three-phase charging station at your home, or can you get by with just a single phase if that's your wish?
The car is capable of charging under all three levels of charging. So level 1, level 2, level 3. Level 1 is 110 volt. So basically any household plug you'll be able to plug the car into and it'll charge. Level 2 is 220. Level 3 fast charge 480. Here in Oregon, there will be 50 fast charge stations placed up and down the I-5 corridor. And as we think about putting the population centers together, how can you get from here to Newport, to Lincoln City, to Salem, north, even up into Seattle? We're going to link those together with fast charge stations. Fast charging, 0 to 80% state of charge in 26 minutes. Now, we expect most people will be doing level 2, which is that electric dryer circuit, 220, 30 amp circuit, do it at home, and that's what we're going to recommend. In that case, it's an 8-hour recharge time from 0. And again, with 100 miles worth of range, you know, the amount of, how many people are going to be actually using 100% of their battery every day? Pretty small, pretty small. So an 8-hour recharge time under 220, and at 110, you know, the slowest rate, 14, 15 hours.
Question? How much does the main constant is going to come for fast charges?
Yeah, it's the same amount of electricity. It's the same amount of electricity. Yeah. I don't want to make a blanket statement because I don't resell electricity, right? So I don't want to say that. But at PGE rates right now, if you were recharging this car every day, 0 to 100%, it's less than $3. It's less than $3. So, you know, not so bad. Yes, sir.
Where are you planning production? Where is it going to?
Yeah, the question is production. First 2 years, the mother plant is Japan, Obama, and then beginning in 2012, we're shifting production to the U.S. We're actually going to do battery packs and vehicles in Tennessee, where we have our existing assembly plant. So 2 years Japan, and then here in the United States.
What's the expected driving range, like on the I-5 corridor between, say, here and Salem, what's the expected range day per day? Because I know 100 miles is based on the LA4 driving, city driving.
Right. Yeah, the question is, you know, what's the kind of variability of range? Yeah, that's one of those hard questions that, because everybody here drives differently, and I can't make a blanket statement. I can tell you that the car is biased towards city stop-and-go driving because of the regenerative braking. Because that regenerative braking puts power back into the battery pack, and your range is actually, you'll go over 100 miles just because you're running around the city. Now, you know, down back and forth to Salem, if you're doing 70 miles an hour, you're really dealing with aerodynamic load. So you're dealing with aerodynamic load and you're not touching the brakes. So in that case, if that's all you did, you may be seeing 80 or 85 miles worth of range versus the 100. So it's kind of a, think of maybe 20% variability on either side as kind of a normal, you'll be somewhere in there just based on your driving habits. Because everybody's different, unfortunately. Everybody's different. But, you know, if you drove at 50 minutes, right? Is there a curve or something? Yeah, there's an aerodynamic point in this car where it's kind of at its perfect level. It's about 63 miles an hour. So that's where it's kind of perfectly balanced, where your aerodynamic load hasn't gone over the curve versus energy use. So that's about its perfect point.
The other thing people don't think about too is the drivers do that to get 20 kilometers an hour.
Right.
50, you really want 70. So
yeah,
wind can have a lot.
Yeah. Question? The question is battery pack air-cooled or water-cooled? It's air-cooled in the fact that the battery pack is sealed, but there's no fans, there's nothing else. So it's air-cooled that there's some heat transfer to the air, but it doesn't get hot. So the chemistry, there's no issue there, even under recharging. Yeah, the question is, what's the effective temperature on range? Actually, air conditioning, not so bad. Air conditioning, maybe a 10% drop in range if you're running your air conditioning. conditioner. Really the biggest impact is heat. Because there's no source of heat in the car, we have to actually use a space heater. So it's energy through an electric coil and then run air over it to warm up the cabin. Two things we're using to mitigate that. One, preheat or pre-cooling the car kind of helps because you're using grid power. Two, in cold weather, heated seats, heated steering wheel. So the two places where you're actually touching the car, you're going to be warm. But then to answer your question, if it is 0 degrees outside, oh, the car runs fine. There's no issue on the battery. We have to warm the battery up a little bit if it's minus 20. So if it's below minus 20, just like you use an engine block heater, then we got to warm up the battery too. So, but if you're charging at that point, no worries. The only issue is the scene could be you're parked at the airport outside, it's 20 below zero for 3 days in a row, and the car's just been sitting outside all that time. We'd have to warm the battery up a little bit before you'd be able to snap full performance. Yeah, it's pretty extreme. That's pretty extreme. That's why Portland, not have to worry about it. Minnesota, maybe you have to worry about it. Question over here. See under the hood. There's no. No, sorry. Actually, there's really nothing to see at this point. Final production vehicle, what's here is electric motor, inverter, compressor for your air conditioner. That's really it. It's really nothing to look at.
You mentioned a space heater, so it's just a resistive heater?
Yeah, it's just a resistance heater. That's how we have to heat up the interior cabin. Yeah, the question is tires. What will come as standard equipment is a low rolling resistance, all-season radial tire. And actually, our supplier we've actually picked because their total carbon footprint for producing the tire is 10% less than any other tire that they make. So we even selected them based on carbon footprint. And the car itself is 99% recyclable by weight. So everything about the car we went through and made sure we could recover, reuse. All the interior fabrics and things are made out of recycled water bottles. As an example.
Is there a specific plan that Nissan has to actually recycle these vehicles?
Yeah, the question is on recycling. It's kind of the 4 R's. It's recover, refabricate, reuse, and remanufacture, really. So yeah, we're going to go through the entire car like that. And even down to the battery pack itself, we've already identified somebody who would actually recover all the componentry. Yep, question.
Where's the battery located?
Yeah, the question is where is the battery located, and if you have a chance to, we have a battery display down at the other end, so you can actually see what one looks like. We have a cutaway of what the battery is. It essentially sits under the front seats and where your feet sit in the second row. So the pack is actually, they are modules that are about this big, and they sit dead low in the car itself, 450 pounds right in the center of the car. Other questions? Rick? Yeah, the question's on the seats. It's a 60-40 split in the back. And actually, as far as space across, the engineers make sure you put the golf bags in there horizontally. They fit. But the seats do a 60-40 split, so you can actually carry more cargo. Now, the passenger seat up front doesn't lay flat, so you're not going to be carrying a ladder in this, but the rear seats do split. Other questions?
You may have already covered it.
Yeah.
The drive, is it on each wheel or above?
Yeah, the question is, where's the electric motors? This is a front-wheel drive car. We've shown on the auto show circuit a vehicle that has 4 individual electric motors on each of the wheels. From a cost and manufacturing standpoint, it's a little bit in the future. So this is a single electric motor, 80 kilowatts, driving the front wheels.
So if we want 4-wheel drive,
No. Too heavy, too expensive. And you wouldn't get 100 miles.
80 kilowatts.
80 kilowatts. Yeah.
Is there a gear reducer?
That's how it drives to the front wheels, yes. Yeah. But there is no transmission, there are no gears. It's a single, it's direct to the wheels. Maintenance, questions on maintenance.